It's Thursday, Chris, which means we have another member from our community joining us on this show, and they sent me DMs that have me a little worried about what they have planned for today.
Yeah, I was asked about our obscenity levels. It's going to be a fun one today with our guy, Joshua, who will be joining the show. We also are going to break out the low probability crystal ball. We're going to debate this Packers wide receiver situation that's going to be very important tonight versus the Cardinals. We're going to have a lot of fun coming up today. And of course, our low ball lineups for week 8. So feel free to dupe those as much as you want right after this intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Splash Play, the fantasy football podcast for every game under the sun. And once again, I am Chris Spags, joined by your friend and mine, Peter Overzet. How are you doing, Pete?
Well, I'm getting even more nervous than I was from the DM that Josh sent me. He asked you about what our profanity sensors would allow.
He said, "How obscene can I?" The exact quote was, "Let me see. Let's see. How PG do I need to be?" And then he said, "I won't be obscene. I love you guys too much for that."
Okay. I am going to have my finger hovering over the mute button and the kick button here for Josh. So please, I worrying about Spags is enough on this show, but now to have a guest that's also a liability, I'm terrified.
So we will do our best to navigate our pal Joshua through this one coming up here. And of course, if you want to be a viewer guest on this show, go right now to Apple Podcasts and give Splash Play 5 stars and a review on there. That is how we are sorting it out. We've gotten a few more reviews trickling in here from some lovely people out there, but help us continue to push those numbers up so we can crack that top 200 in the trending charts. I have one goal in life, and that is to be one of the top 200 mediocre podcasts that have reviews. So please go to Apple Podcasts, throw us 5 stars and a review. And of course, make sure to go check out Football Outsiders at footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. A lot of great improvements going on. I know I don't talk a lot about my day job over at Edge Sports and Football Outsiders, but our product team has really been working hard on making Football Outsiders do a lot of great stuff, a lot of simpler processes on there for data exports and really just everything across the board. DVOA, of course, is the big stat that you're talked about on every show out there, but it is going to be a clothing optional for Joshua, but clothing is also optional over at footballoutsiders.com/subscribe, and you'll never be caught with your pants down thanks to the quality data over at that site. Pete, do you like that plug?
That was a pro transition there.
That's what I'm here for. And also make sure you check the description down below. Pete has opened up the Splash Play store in his Overzet shop. And I think I got some merch coming my way, Pete, which you were the most helpful customer service person looking out for me in my upcoming move. And for that, I'm personally going to buy all my Splash Play merch through you from now on.
Yeah, I mean, really, again, the only other options is the Teespring store. Did you delete that yet, or are you still in competition?
It might still be up there.
Yeah, I mean, if you want just, the 100% cotton with no polyester blend, head over to Spags' store. If you want the good stuff, head down to overzet.myshopify.com.
What's important, because that's now, I guess I'm running the bootleg shop. I'm running down on the corner slinging some shirts, and they can get some high quality things from Pete. Maybe they could save a little money going my way. Yeah, it really sums up our show pretty well.
Yeah. When you zoom in on Spags' store, the logo is actually just a complete knockoff. It's like if you go to China and buy the Versace handbags, you're not getting the real thing.
Yeah, I am personally drawing each logo in crayon before sending it out. So but check the description. You can see the merch store here. And we're going to be wearing some stuff on here. So you'll be missing out if you don't get a beanie or a shirt or a dad hat, whatever else is out there along with us. So go check that in the description. But let's talk some week 8 news, Pete. And this is a big one where no Devontae Adams, no Allen Lazard, both guys on the COVID list for tonight's game at Arizona. I know you put out the Fantasy Life newsletter and it looked like MVS would be playing, but now there are some reports saying that his status, quote unquote, doesn't look good. So the question I have for you, Pete, is if you had to set odds on MVS playing, what are they, first of all? And then second of all, what do you trust, if anything, on Green Bay with 2 major cogs of the offense, potentially 3 out tonight?
Yeah, it seemed like things yesterday were trending in the right direction for MVS. And then, that most recent tweet I saw made it seem less likely. So that would basically leave them with Randall Cobb, Equinemius St. Brown, and Amari Rogers as the only active wide receivers. Robert Tonyan, of course. And then I think Mercedes Lewis would also probably get some burn as the second tight end in this offense. So, they're down to a skeleton crew here at wide receiver. And I mean, considering they haven't really shown a willingness to use St. Brown and Amari Rodgers a lot. I mean, this could be a 10 plus target game for Randall Cobb here, a 7 or 8 plus target game for Tunyon, or maybe they just decide to make it an AJ Dillon game and really rely on the run game, although that could be tough if the Cardinals are putting up points.
That was my question for you, because I know we talked on Monday about the Monday Night Football game with Alvin Kamara, and basically I think you chose him as captain, even though normally you wouldn't choose these guys that are so chalk. But it was one case where I was willing to acquiesce that because it was so hard to argue Alvin Kamara. He ended up having one of the greatest receiving days he's had in his entire career. That's chock full of them. But in this spot, Pete, I feel like this really could be something where people try to go to Randall Cobb. I know my instinct says to go there. Amari Rodgers hasn't had that breakout day yet because he just hasn't gotten the run to even have a chance to show if he's some version of Kadarius Toney or not as a rookie coming in, obviously. And then also, Aaron Jones is there at under 10K for the showdown slate. And I feel like him at captain, probably going to be really highly owned, but there's definitely a world here where, just given his touchdown share on the year, he's scoring about 32% of their touchdowns overall, including 27% of the receiving touchdowns. I think there's a decent possibility it all just ends up going his way, and then everybody playing these other receivers get left holding the bag.
Yeah, he was popping in the sim results. Both him and Kyler are appearing in almost half of the lineups. One of them as the optimal captain, Kyler and Aaron Jones. So yeah, Aaron Jones looks like a good play, and the thesis makes sense that without the other wide receivers, that he'll be used far more in the receiving game. He was barely used last week in the receiving game, but they didn't really need it. Just kind of the game script they had. So yeah, his production is always all over the map, but he always has that elite ceiling, and this seems like a good spot for it.
Yeah, it is only a 6-point favorite right now, is Arizona at home, which is kind of surprising. We'll see if that line moves a little bit more with both Adams and Lazard officially out, and we'll see if MVS status matters. But it's honestly a closer line than you would think for a skeleton crew. So a shot here that Green Bay stays competitive, and choose your poison. We'll do it for ourselves when we build the lineup coming up in a little bit. The same game, Pete, this is not, we usually don't talk defense too much, but this one just kind of made me sad. JJ Watt, season-ending surgery, in a spot where we've talked about Arizona being a team that could potentially be in the Super Bowl, maybe even win the Super Bowl this year. They could fight off the Rams and everybody else along the way. And I know JJ Watt, it's weird. The public persona with him has kind of gone different directions. People loved him. Then they thought he was a tryhard. Then it seemed like they're back to loving him again. I don't know. But I like the guy enough that it makes me sad that he makes this move, gets out of Houston finally after being so loyal there. And now he's out for the year. And in the year where it really does feel like the Cardinals could win it all.
Yeah, hit me with the Football Outsider stats. How was the Cardinals defense with him? Was he an above average contributor for them so far this year?
The Arizona DVOA on the year has been minus 21% against the rush in particular, minus 21% as well. Then versus the pass, minus 9%. So they've been good across the board. And I think it's sort of hard to say like it's all JJ Watt. I'm sure there's a lot more scheme fit things there, but you lose a guy like him who we know generates pressure, is also pretty good against a run. You have to think it's going to take a hit. So I don't know what the movement's been, Pete. I'm sure at Football Outsiders, they will give you more there. It could be a free article, or it could be part of the footballoutsiders.com/subscribe package. You'll have to find out for yourself. But I do think it's one of those spots where I like the guy. Like, I like the guy. And I think it's sad for me to see somebody work that hard for that long. And then you're on the cusp of this thing that's been so important to every football player, especially a guy like him, and just to not be able to be in the hunt down the stretch, I think is probably cripplingly depressing for him, to be honest.
Yeah, especially when you make the move to go from one of the worst teams to a Super Bowl contender, and then to have that happen out of the gate is definitely brutal.
Yeah, so there's one thing I wanted to point out there, and maybe does make the options a little bit more appealing for the Packers tonight with no JJ Watt, but we'll see how that effect matriculates up for the coming weeks here. One take, Pete, that I saw, which I'm going to point out, and I like Mike Clay over at ESPN, but I will say this is sort of my lead-in. Mark Ingram getting traded to the Saints before their game versus Tampa, and this take about from Mike Clay, and I'll just read it out loud. He said, "Love Kamara and Ingram back together. Ingram should take some of the early down pressure off so Kamara can dominate in the pass game." And Pete, I don't know if this bothers you as much as it does me. And to be clear, I think Mike Clay is sharp. Like, I've seen the projections. I think this take is just one you put out there and maybe don't think through all the way. But sometimes these mainstream fantasy takes, like, I do not want Mark Ingram there if I'm a guy who's got Kamara in best ball in a season-long league. I don't want him taking goal line touches. I don't want him getting the ball on first down, second down. I don't want anything that impedes the volume, Pete. And I feel like that's one of those, like, kind of old school media takes that I think, operate completely differently on. So I don't know if you feel the same way I do or feel as strongly as I do, but that's just really bad advice coming from a guy that I normally do file away as being pretty sharp.
I mean, I think I see both sides of it, right? Like, Alvin Kamara, you don't want him being in this 25 plus touch range a game just for his health. I think we definitely want a complimentary back in there. The rub is like if he were to lose goal line carries, then that absolutely sucks. But if he can keep goal line carries, keep his, robust pass catching role, and then just go down from like 20 carries a game to 15, where he's still getting 20 plus opportunities, but they're all the, what Ben Gretsch calls the high value touches in the passing game, in the red zone, at the goal line, then we're fine. And then I'm completely okay taking a little off of his plate there and just making sure that he has the durability to hold up, because nothing would be worse for fantasy than to have him just as this monster workhorse for 13 weeks. And then he starts breaking down right when you need him. So, they had to make a depth move there. They needed someone. We see very few, running backs in the league that get the true bell cow usage. We know he can do it, but we've also known that he's gotten banged up at times throughout his career. So I don't know. I'm not too worried about this. I don't really think this trade moves the needle at all. Like if I was doing rest of season, rankings for running back, like it doesn't move Alvin Kamara in either direction for me.
See, I guess I would go differently. I think I would try to sell Kamara now coming off this game where he was so heavily involved. And I think as long as Taysom Hill is out, you are going to see a good amount of work going Kamara's way in that pass game. They clearly had a tough time scoring in the way that Taysom Hill, for all the things that you could detract from him, from what he does with that offense, ruining the flow for Breeze previously, ruining the flow for Jameis a little bit this year, taking away some red zone opportunities, some goal line opportunities. Like he clearly was successful getting into that end zone time and time again. And I think in this situation for me, I just think that you add in anybody to a room, especially a guy who was getting the ball more than anybody else in the league. We talked about that. Numbers don't lie last week for what Ingram's role was in the Texans. I don't think he's going to be that dude, but I do think it's enough to chop, just some value off of Kamara. And I'd be a little more afraid than not, but I don't think it's a net positive. I guess that'd be the question I have for you, Pete. Like, is there any way it's a positive? I feel like the durability thing is the one point you made where I could see it, but I feel like at best case, it's like a neutral thing.
Yeah, no, that's my take. Is it's neutral.
Okay.
I think it's positive for durability, and I think it's neutral for fantasy. We should talk about Houston though for the fallout there, because I actually think that's a little bit more interesting. I know Matthew had kind of the take that it's not that interesting just because the Texans suck. And I get that. Like, I think in most leagues, you're probably never starting these guys, but I am very desperate for running backs in a lot of leagues. And I think this is a fairly decent boost for both David Johnson, but primarily Phillip Lindsay. And partly because the Texans have been willing to absolutely feed Mark Ingram. Of course, week one, when they hung with the Cardinals, he was getting a ton of carries. I think he had 26 carries, but even in the past couple of weeks, he had an 18 carry game, a 16 carry game. And I think Phillip Lindsay is a better rusher, just like a pure, more explosive talent than Mark Ingram. So if he takes that over, and David Johnson kind of stays in his similar role, I think that's going to be a nice fantasy contributor. His upside will be capped because he's not going to catch a ton of passes. But I think with the offense potentially getting Tyrod Taylor back, if they're just a little bit more competent and able to stay in games, I think Phillip Lindsay can be like a fringe running back 2, running back 3 type play in specific game scripts. And on my rosters, that's very much welcomed.
So you're saying he'd be really good in the game scripts where Houston's leading?
No. I'm saying the game scripts where it's not 10 plus points. Like,
no, that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, like I was saying, they were getting blown out and still giving Mark Ingram 18 carries. So, I mean, if you're going to give Phillip Lindsay 18 carries, I'm very interested in that.
Are you buying any? And I think the one guy, like, I would ebb a little more towards David Johnson. I don't know if he's going to be available in enough leagues out there where that would matter, but I worry a little bit about the Scottie Phillips thing, which is a guy that I saw referenced in the Houston Chronicle article. A couple of the other articles about the situation have sort of referenced that as a jumping off point and saying that the organization might want to get him some more looks. He doesn't jump out at all in Player Profiler as a guy who's had any sort of noteworthy uptick, but I guess for you, Pete, and I think this is how I would view it, where I would take whatever Texans running back you can get on waivers. If somebody took Lindsay already, I would take Phillips. If somebody took Phillips and Lindsay, I would take David Johnson. If all of them are gone, maybe you get a Rex Burkhead share and hope that somehow works out. But I guess, do you feel that strongly about Lindsay, that he's going to be a much better play than a Scottie Phillips, or would you just be willing to take whatever's there, basically?
Yeah, no, I do think that is the concern is, they were using kind of 3 running backs before where Phillip Lindsay was even getting a few carries, kind of eating into Mark Ingram. So if a Scottie Phillips or a Rex Burkhead just backfills what Lindsay was doing, Lindsay steps into the Ingram, then you're in a 3-headed committee on a bad offense, and then you're in bad territory. So it is making a bet that this will kind of more concentrate around David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay. But I think that's certainly a risk.
In that same Saints game that we were talking about a little bit ago, Antonio Brown not practicing on the Bucs side, Gronk limited. And I just want to point this one out because we'll hopefully know more by tomorrow about both these guys' statuses. But if Antonio Brown is out, like I didn't realize I was pulling some numbers for numbers don't lie this week. His target per route number over 28% of the time he's getting targeted when running a route. Gronk is at about 24%. Like it definitely makes a lot more sense why you saw Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both have monster days last week. In this spot against the Saints, like I feel like if these guys end up out again, I would want a lot of tournament exposure to, probably one of Evans or Godwin, maybe stacking both up with Brady. But this spot, Pete, I feel like is really important this week. And it's one that with Antonio Brown, his injury kind of came out of nowhere. It seems like him not practicing, maybe Gronk gets back in and that could screw things up a little bit. But if Antonio Brown's not in there, like that's a pretty big upgrade for Evans, Godwin, and Gronk if he's in.
Yeah, it's actually going to be an interesting situation for DFS because I think Godwin is going to be very popular. He's underpriced still at 6,400, even with AB out. He was 5,900 last week and really mispriced. I think Evans and Gronk aren't going to catch a ton of ownership just because they're more expensive. I mean, Gronk coming back from injury at 4,600 is just pretty pricey. So then you're starting to wonder, do you want to get cute with a Tyler Johnson at 3,100? He only had 2 targets last week, but again, trying to find money on these slates is tough to come by, and I don't hate that for him. And I think you could also still consider OJ Howard at 3,000 as well. So yeah, they're going to be an interesting team for tournaments, but I love the Brady double stacks. When Brady gets there, he's throwing 4 to 5 touchdowns. They don't take their foot off the gas from a passing perspective, even when they're winning. So I'm interested in trying to find contrarian ways to play Brady double stacks this week.
And hopefully we'll have that news on tomorrow's show, which we will be joined by the Athletics' Arif Hassan, who'll be back here after having one of our best showings and ride or die picks last year. And Pete, did you prepare him, by the way, for the insane turn that we've had in the show where last year he made some really sound advice and I think maybe helped win people some money out there. And this time he is stepping into the game. The Thunderdome basically is what ride or die picks has become.
Yeah, I have not prepped him for the new version of Ride or Die. I need to send him a DM after this show.
Just make sure he's aware of what he's stepping into because one of our favorite guests from last year will be back again. We're excited to have him on tomorrow's show. So tune in 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific time. One other injury, I guess a couple more injuries to hit through real fast. Dawson Knox officially going to be out versus Miami. His 33% receiving TD share now gone into the wind. Tommy Sweeney priced a little bit above minimum salary heading into Sunday and a spot that could be a blowout against Miami based on the totals right now, Pete. But I feel like Tommy Sweeney to me in cash games as your tight end, I feel like has to be the dude. And then for tournaments, that price point, he's going to open up a lot of things. And he showed the ability to get a touchdown last week, basically the second that Dawson Knox went out. I don't think Dawson Knox is like some stellar talent. You could certainly see more love go Diggs' way, go Emmanuel Sanders' way, go Cole Beasley's way. But how are you feeling about Tommy Sweeney in this spot? And I guess if you needed a tight end really bad, would you pick him up in season long?
Yeah, so he wasn't really on my radar for this week just because I do think I think Dan Arnold, who's $100 cheaper, is an even better play than Tommy Sweeney. But I also think he's going to be more popular. So I could maybe see that. And I do think you can rarely go wrong, especially in small field DFS tournaments, of just tossing the tight end with your stack. If you're running Josh Allen double stacks, especially in super small field stuff, like if you want to run a Diggs, Sanders, and toss in 2,900 Tommy Sweeney and just, hope that Josh Allen throws for 4 touchdowns and rushes one in, which isn't outside the realm of possibility against the Dolphins. I don't mind that. But yeah, he doesn't seem to be projecting super well. He seems similar to Adam Troutman at 2,700, Johnny Smith at 2,800. And then I do prefer Dan Arnold. So he's not screaming out to me, but I'll dig in a little deeper.
You're still getting some red zone targets, still getting some end zone targets, only 0.2 per game. But for a guy like Sweeney, who's been the backup tight end, that's meaningful to 0.2. So another thing we could debate more coming up in the tomorrow's show. But I do think Sweeney interesting to me, but not a guy I would certainly be building my entire weeks around. T.Y. Hilton's status up in the air at home versus Tennessee. I feel like this is one I throw in T.Y. Hilton. Of course, Pete, my love for the old guys, but I think this is an important one. Like I think Michael Pittman, Mo Alley Cox get a lot more appealing without T.Y. out there. If T.Y. Hilton is out there, he's definitely always a GPP play, especially against a fellow AFC South team. But do you have any care at all for what T.Y. Hilton's doing in week 8?
Not for him particularly, but like you said, I think Michael Pittman's going to be fairly popular if Hilton is out. I almost would kind of want Hilton to play and then keep Michael Pittman Jr.'s ownership in check, because Michael Pittman at 5,300, if you can catch him sub 10%, right now I'm seeing him like 12 or 13%, and that'll probably go up if Hilton's ruled out. I'm interested in Pittman. He looked really good. He's looked good most of this season.
Yeah, definitely benefits with Hilton not out there. So something to keep an eye on, and hopefully, again, we'll know tomorrow. Last news item here, Sterling Shepard back at practice before Monday Night Football, Kansas City, so obviously a lot of time there. Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney limited, working on the sidelines, so that can go either way there. But Pete, another guy coming back into the roster here for a Giants team that I feel like on Monday Night Football against Kansas City, with how they've been banged up, underperforming throughout the year, I think this is kind of an important one. Obviously, it's showdown, so it would be important anyway. But for season long too, like Shepard being back in, I think he's probably a pretty high upside play, especially if you do have those 3 stars for the Giants not making it back in.
Yeah. What was the latest on Golladay?
So Golladay, Saquon, and Toney were all like working on the sidelines, I guess. So I don't think they were actually performing during any actual part of practice, but they were there and somewhat suited up, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very fun showdown slate, like you said. And I can see that game going over the total. I think we could see a lot of points in that game. The Chiefs are desperate to get back off the schneid with how poorly they've been playing. And yeah, I'll be curious to see how the depth chart shakes out there. I mean, Darius Slayton has been playing really well. Ben Gretsch wrote him up in Stealing Signals, kind of talking about his role. He's at 0.25 targets per route run. And he's been drawing like a ton of volume with those guys out. So I think he could be interesting as well if those guys continue to miss.
So now, Pete, it's about that time here. Hey, we need to pander for likes. If you're watching on Pete's channel or the Splash Play channel, please hit that like button right now. Helps us out a bunch, helps us get seen by more people, and it also helps out every YouTube content creator out there just for the algorithm benefits. So if you like something on YouTube, or even if you just tolerate it and you're hanging out, hit the like button. It does help us all out. We got Wallace in the chat, though, asking, because we're about to do one of our silly bits, Pete, but Wallace wants to know, hey, I want to know, where's Wallace, Stringer? Where's Wallace? Where's Wallace? For all my Wire fans out there. Second of all, is Pete an island boy tonight? How are you feeling about that, Peter? Are you an island boy?
I'm an island boy that's gonna captain Aaron Jones. What are you doing with your lineups?
I'm an island boy. I wish MVS were back on the preseason height. He needs to pick up the slack.
Us doing Island Boy proved to be pretty polarizing. Some people loved it, others really hated it.
But we're island boys, and it's Thursday Night Football. Like, who's going to give up on the beat first? I bet it's Pete.
Can I do Island Boy crystal ball? Because I don't want to talk like a gypsy lady.
Well, if you're an island boy, you kind of sound like Miss Cleo, so I guess the beat fits when you're combining it all together.
All right, let's get into it. I'm peering into my crystal ball.
All right, I guess I lose. I'm dropping the bit first. I'm putting on the shawl. It's time for a little low probability crystal ball where we embrace our inner soothsayers on the chat. Eric Belair saying unsubscribe. Frankie, our boy of the Pasta House Company, saying, oh, Jesus. I think people don't respect. There isn't enough freestyle island boy music in the DFS community. We're bringing it.
We are bringing it. It was so hard, as I really just want to do the rest of the show in that voice, and I had to really stop myself.
Honestly, with how the shows are shaping up here, I know we're moving some show timings around, which I guess we should talk about here too. Like, maybe we do just a full show in Island Boy cadence.
God, don't tempt me with a good time.
But it is time, the low probability crystal ball, where we are going to look into our various crystal balls and come up with some very unlikely situations. And now I got to get into like a different character, which is the hard part. But Pete, why don't you look into your ball first, which of course comes with a lot of great takes and also a lot of bad ones potentially as well.
No, I have never had a bad take in my life. And we are really continuing to show our character range here, just seamlessly pivoting from Island Boy to crystal balls. Let me look deep in here, okay? I know Jermichael Hasty gets used in the passing game, but I'm extremely bullish on Eli Mitchell. He has taken over that backfield in San Francisco. Trey Sermon is nothing but a speck of dust floating through the cosmos. I see Eli Mitchell tattooing the Bears defense for 24 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown, Spags.
But what my crystal ball keeps telling me is that Pete loves bringing up Eli Mitchell at every turn, yet he hasn't paid off since week 1. Why does your crystal ball have this pro Eli Mitchell agenda? Mine wonders quite heavily.
Did you see what Eli Mitchell's stat line was last week, or did you blank that out of your memory because you hate how successful I am?
I was actually in the sauna during Sunday Night Football, so I missed the game, but tell me What do you like?
Wait, you've been going to the sauna? Never mind. I can't get distracted right now with all that hot, Stevie sauna talk.
All the saucy sauna talk will actually head to another warm domain of Arizona, and tonight everyone will line up to play their Randall Cobb. They'll know the connection that Aaron Rodgers has brought for years, demanding Randall Cobb come back into his life. But no, the crystal ball says go a different direction. Sure, Aaron Jones looks great, and any chalk donkey could tell you play him at captain as much as you please. But Amari Rodgers, another young rookie, another strapping young man, small in stature, big in heart, he will appear tonight, Peter, as the showdown winning captain that nobody hath foreseen coming.
Oh, and the very nice pick, Spags. It's almost like we're doing ride or die, and you just did a 50-pointer. Very, very off the wall of you. This is the low probability crystal ball, though, and your picks seem to have a lower probability than I can even fathom, which means I must give our people a true look into the future, something that can portend great fortune for our viewers. And what do I see here? I see none other than a Devonta Smith on the Eagles. All of the attention, the globe, the force, the inertia of the world pulling people to Jalen Hurts, to Kenneth Gainwell, to Boston Scott, to Dallas Goedert. And yet a man so forgotten, so thin, so chicken-leggy, who can find his way into the end zone is none other than rookie Devonta Smith, who scores a touchdown for the first time since, I believe, week 1. My ball is not showing all of the box score stats how I want them to right now, but I love me some Devonta Smith this week.
It's good to hear that your crystal ball doesn't chase the box scores quite as much as you do, my friend, but I will say for me, I'll go to a real low probability situation, one that no one will see coming. The Miami Dolphins, creatures of the warmth, they will head into the cold world of the Bills Mafia, and not only will they will cover pretty well and have a great fantasy day for several Miami Dolphins, including one Myles Gaskin, the pass catcher that Miami hath looked for ever since Patrick Laird is he still on the team? I don't even know. The crystal ball doesn't keep up on 7th string running backs, I suppose.
Fuck off and keep my man Patrick Laird off of your lips. He might be getting elevated from the practice squad with Malcolm Brown going to IR, and then you will eat a crow and you will choke on it.
Wait, so am I eating the crow or am I choking on it?
You're eating the crow and then you'll choke on it for trying to slander the great Laird and Savior.
The Laird and Savior hopefully will pop back up in time for Week 18 with the Dolphins season quickly losing relevance. But either way, my crystal ball is out at 2 takes. Pete, does yours have a third?
No, I was looking at it and it is fresh out. I keep shaking it and nothing is coming out.
I feel like a lot of what I do with the crystal ball ends up rubbing it kind of sensually like a bald man's head. See? Okay, good. We're out of here. You look more like Jon Snow than a psychic, I have to say.
Thank you.
And it's fitting because you know nothing Peter Overzet is what I would say.
Thank you.
There we go. All right. Is it that time, Pete, where we bring on our special guest, Joshua, the wild card of the show? Of course, our viewer guest bits have been one of our favorites to have on here. Lots of great guys joining recently. And today we have our guy, Joshua, a big Julio Jones fan, a big Peter Overzet and Chris Spags fan, and a man who's apparently building anticipation for his debut by...
I got a DM from him a few minutes ago that said, can I get a chair turn entry? Well, Josh,
hi guys.
There it is. Welcome to the show. You nailed the chair turn. What do we got going on here?
Oh, God. You're pouring the coffee in a very Salt Bay-ish fashion?
That's right, Pete. Don't dupe me.
That's right. I do that on my morning shows. Joshua, I appreciate that. Is there, like, the udders were very visceral on that mug.
You can only drink from the top, though.
Oh, God.
It was really hard to come on after Spags was rubbing the crystal ball for a second. I thought I might have needed a minute, but I'm good to go.
Eric in the chat saying nice teats, which I think is the only time you can get away with saying this show in that context. So good job by Eric squeezing that in.
Josh, you feel a little bit like a loose cannon. Do you promise not to get us canceled today?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't even realize
super
convincing. I went full bro. I did the hat. Come on.
What, you come on my show, you know how I dress every week. You're duping me. I'm not duping you.
Exactly. You didn't even recognize the dupe.
Dude, I mean, everyone just wears a backwards hat these days, so it's the chalk.
That's a sign you were ready for one of these shows, is that you in fact owned a hat and were able to turn it backwards. I think that's really the one licensing agreement that we have.
Will is asking the question. What's that?
It is on its way. Should be here today. There is going to be a Geno jersey burning for you guys because he absolutely burned my lineups last Monday. Whenever he played, last Monday.
He was in the winning lineup.
He's still terrible.
Yeah.
He lost my fantasy football lineup.
Don't burn the jersey. We want you to wear it with pride. We need a photo of you in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll send it to you, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, preferably holding the teats as well. I think if you that's what we're looking for here. But let's do the numbers don't lie segment here, of course, where we like to bring our viewer guests in immediately and subject them to the lies that I have Pete weed through every single week. Where I'll read 3 stats, 2 are true, 1 is a lie. And Josh, I know you know this show pretty well. So do you feel ready for the gauntlet I'm going to throw down here of these stats?
Of course, I've been studying for months and months.
All right, Pete, are you ready?
I'm never ready for your bullshit, but I'm as prepared as I can be.
All right, let's get into it. Numbers don't lie. 3 stats here. 2 are true. 1 is a lie. First one up. Out of all, this is a real wordy one. I don't know what I was thinking. Out of all the receivers playing over 35 snaps per game, Cooper Kupp leads the NFL in targets per route run with a 32% rate. Number 2 is the COVID-stricken Devontae Adams, the 31.4% targets per route run rate. Number 3 may also not be a surprise. Deebo Samuel, 29.3% rate. Would you expect the currently banged up Chase Claypool to be number 4? One of our former Splash Play mascots currently sits right behind Deebo, the 28.9% target per route run rate. Interesting to note with Claypool's possible return in week 8, Pete, how did that feel for you to have to hear all of that?
It was honestly less awful than I thought it was going to be.
Thank you.
That one is, you do not associate Chase Claypool in the same vein as those other wide receivers, more of a downfield target, but he has been seeing a lot of increased targets, especially with Juju out. I'm on the fence on this one. My gut reaction is it's false, but it seems like you would include it for that reason. What are you thinking, Josh?
100% false.
Okay, you have more confidence than me.
That was a lot of confidence, or maybe too much. We'll find out as we get the rest of these stats. On the other end of the spectrum, maybe something less counterintuitive in the targets per route run numbers. DeAndre Hopkins is one of the highest snap counts in the league at around 62 per game, but his 17.8% target per route run rate is among the worst of stud wide receivers, behind Russell Gage from Atlanta at a 17.9% rate, and barely ahead of another former Splash Play mascot, Robbie Anderson, who's got a 17.4% target per route run rate. Josh, you heard that number there. You know, DeAndre Hopkins, the bane of the fantasy community, I guess, in some respects, but does kind of get there from time to time. How do you feel about that number?
I'm going to go with false again. Spags, you spit out information so fast.
Do it a little slower. Let's do that one again.
Oh, you just want to make me do more work, it sounds like, but okay. On the other end of the spectrum, there may be something less common.
Okay, then just go to the third one if this is what we're going to do.
DeAndre Hopkins, highest snap counts in the league, 17.8% target per route run rate, which is ahead of Robbie Anderson, behind Russell Gage. So that's the summary there. Stat number 3, we've talked about receivers, so let's show some love to the running backs. Out of the guys over 12 rushing attempts per game, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, and James Robinson are tops in the league in the yards after contact per attempt numbers. But number 4, maybe a bit of a surprise after he's actually been a healthy scratch recently, the Raiders' Peyton Barber. Barber's 4.0 yards after contact per attempt. It's actually higher than his rushing yards per attempt mark of 3.9.
Do we have a minimum threshold on carries for this one, Spags?
It was all guys over 12 per game.
Okay. 12 carries
per game for one game.
For one game, yeah, because Barber just had that one good game.
He played like 3 weeks there, but he didn't have one outlier.
So my gut is that number 2 is wrong because, we had the game 2 weeks ago where DeAndre Hopkins, I think, had 3 targets and he was like on the field a ton, running a lot of routes. So that seems off to me. I feel like Claypool is the one that's supposed to seem off, but is actually correct. I think number 2 is the lie.
All right, Josh, you heard them all here. Which one do you think is the lie out of these 3 stats?
Well, I already said 1, so I got to stick with 1.
Okay, so Josh is in fact right. It is not Chase Claypool. The numbers are correct. It's in fact Deontay Johnson who's number 4 in the league in terms of targets per route run. Chase Claypool just kind of a nobody, I guess, compared to Deontay Johnson. So that was the
what? Kind of a nobody. Get out of here with your fucking agenda with these things.
I mean, it's more that it hurts me that we cast our lot for Chase Claypool early on and he has not lived up to the hype. But Deontay Johnson, though, going against Cleveland, I feel like pretty nice GPP play now.
Get out of here. Claypool is the better play.
All right. Well, Josh, let's talk about you real fast. Cause I know, honestly, I don't know enough about Josh. Like Josh has DM Pete'ing me for a while now. And like, certainly a guy that I respond to more than most people out there. So kudos to Josh for being able to get that out of me, but also you're a Navy guy, right? Like, or am I just misreading your thumbnails?
No, I was a Navy guy. No longer a Navy guy.
How was that experience for you? First of all, thank you for your whatever you've done for our country. Second of all, how was that experience for you? Because I feel like if you got it on your photo on social media, like you must be a proud Navy guy on some level.
It was great. I got to deploy, got to see a lot of things that a lot of young people don't get to see. Got to be in a bunch of third world countries. Got to go travel and do everything I wanted as a young man. So it was an amazing experience. Got to serve my country, got my GI Bill out of it. Can't really say anything bad about the service.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely nice to hear. And I guess for you, how did you then make the shift into being so into fantasy? I know you've been doing well with NBA. Josh told me a little bit about his success there, but you're also playing NFL, which is a world of variances, we all know, by doing that week after week. But what made you kind of become so into this in a way that you are DMing guys like me and Pete?
Sliding into your DMs. I mean,
it's pretty tempting. We all know that. Yeah.
On deployment, you don't really have a ton of stuff to do, so I really got into football more than like the normal person, I guess you would say, probably like you guys both did. And from there, just deeper and deeper every day. I try to learn everything I can, whether it's about offense, defense. I don't just focus on what good wide receivers there are. I look at what defenses are playing against. Last week, somebody on this show was touting a Bears quarterback. I don't know if you guys know who that was.
Probably somebody that didn't
having over 30 attempts per game against Tampa. And yeah, I played him in DFS. It was not a good week.
No. But you gotta try it, then yeah. I
mean, thank you.
Anything else you'd like to get off your chest?
Not to play a Bears quarterback, guys.
I think we're all in agreement there. We all had to learn that the hard way. At a certain point, it's going to really, the shittiest part about Justin Fields when he does have a good game is going to be that I will be so browbeaten and I won't be playing him that week. But I'll feel some symptoms of pride. I guess some symptoms of losing a lot of money, but also some feelings of pride.
There you go.
4 points he got.
Not the best for Justin Fields. But let's do our Thursday Night Football Showdown DFS lineup build, where of course tonight we got that Packers-Cardinals game, gonna be a weird one. And of course we do have Josh here to help us out here, go pick by pick, building up a lineup for you guys out there. So hit that like button. Our picks are only going to be as good, or the lineup is only going to be as good as the amount of likes we get. That's always the way it goes. We got Green Bay getting 22 implied points, Arizona 28.5 implied points. And Joshua, you heard all about the various injuries here. We got no Devontae Adams, no Alan Lazard, maybe no MVS. So, Pete, if you want to pull up the lineup while we do this, but who would be your first pick here? Go with the captain, go with the flex, follow your heart.
Yeah, let me get this pulled up here. Go for it. We got it pulled up right now.
So I think we're going to stick with Spags guy, but not at captain in the flex. And we're going to go with Randall Cobb.
Okay.
Hard to argue that. Randall Cobb, certainly the one guy who's gotten some target share, the one guy who's gotten some touchdown share. I know people were touting a little bit of Equanimous St. Brown, and you can really pick any receiver here and hope that they work out. So, Pete, who would you follow that one up with?
Yeah, let's go. I'll do captain, and I'll do Aaron Jones here in the captain slot for us.
Okay. It's a solid lineup already. So we are doing single entry too. So I think it does make a lot of sense to go Aaron Jones there. I feel like I got to take a Cardinal here, and I will take the one guy that we know is going to get production regardless of what happens around him. Let's put in Kyler Murray.
Okay. All right, Josh, it's back to you. We have just under 7K remaining for 3 players each.
I'm feeling kind of slotty today. Let's go some AJ Green.
Ooh, look, I think we all know that's a great pick. The guy who's basically been as good as DeAndre Hopkins, but without any of the hype behind him. None of the hype machine here. AJ Green, a guy that only the sharpest touts knew going into the year to be useful, and that's what I'd say.
Did you write that joke ahead of time, Josh, the slotty one?
You wish, Pete. You wish.
Okay. If that was improvised, I'll allow it. If you wrote that, if you've been marinating on that joke all day, though, you're canceled.
Yeah, we only do improv on this show, and if we write anything out, it has to be really overwritten and hackneyed. Is the way.
The COVID-stricken Devontae Adams.
Fuck off. Being a broadcaster, Pete, you should try it sometime. Who do you want?
Yeah, let me put someone in here. I saw someone in the chat earlier begging for a Rondale Moore game. I mean, if we're going Kyler here, DeAndre Hopkins sounds like is going to play, but is still a game time decision. So if he's a little banged up, let's get Rondale Moore in here for our Kyler Murray double stack.
All right, so we got a lot of money left, it seems, for me. And I guess what I would do here, just knowing the lineup we've built, we got some chalk here with Aaron Jones at captain. Let's go with James, not James Cardinal, rather. Let's go with Chase Edmonds as a running back here. So leave some salary on the table, pass up the very obvious higher priced guy. I think that works for me, Pete, if it works for you.
This is honestly probably one of my favorite lineups we've built for Showdown on the show. This seems like a legitimately good lineup to me.
No Aaron Rodgers, which I think is the one thing you could have some fear of, that he's just going to get a little more touchdown work. But I agree. It's a solid lineup. Leaves money on the table. Josh, you feel good about your first foray here in a lineup building live?
Of course.
Very good.
Oh,
all right.
Pete, I wanted to say, if you would have DM'd me the other day, you would have won your NFT. Spags, I think, has it in his DM, one of my lineups from that day. But you would have won your NFT.
Wait, what NFT?
The NBA one you tried, the frog?
Oh, the Crypto Toads?
Yeah.
You had the winning lineup that night?
I didn't enter that contest, but I had what would have been the winning lineup in that contest.
Really? And you didn't DM
Yes.
it to me?
You don't even answer DMs.
Josh, I was literally DMing with you this morning. Once I realized you were coming on the show, I said, I got to get on this guy's good side.
Scared and we're like, Josh, no.
Hey, you know what? This is what happens, Josh, and why I have to be selective with my DMs is because once you open the door to the DMs, then they can just come at all hours. You know what I mean?
Coming in DMs at all hours.
That's it. So I sometimes will have to do the, quick block and then unblock. So you go back into the DM gate. That's a little pro tip.
I might even slide into
manipulative.
What do you mean manipulative? I just have this stream of DMs coming at me all day.
I mean, I will say I get a lot of DMs, and Pete, I'm not going to but there's somebody who's really nice, who's a big fan of Pete's, who does DM me a lot. And then sometimes there's just too much for me to read and reply to, and I just give up. And I'm very appreciative of this person's support, but definitely, Pete, you do have some chatty Cathys, I think, in your ecosystem that I could see why you would, but that's just not me. I just ignore them.
The thing is it's not people I know. And Josh, initially, I didn't recognize your username. These are when strangers message me like one question and they get you to answer, and they'll sometimes do what Josh did, and he just wrote Pete. That's all he wrote. There was no question.
No, I wrote Peter. Hi, Peter.
Okay, what am I supposed to do with that, John? That's
then what did I say after though?
I don't remember. You said you said something that made me very scared for your performance on the show today.
It was just a dick pic, but not a good one.
All right,
a limp one.
This is what he said. No, and then he said, "I don't know if you are ready for this, Pete."
That is a little ominous, I would say.
Okay.
We also have to give our ride or die picks for this game. I know we can get sidetracked here and fill some time talking about DMs, but
no,
we appreciate all the support out there. And Josh knows, like, I reply to DMs. I just reply to them whenever I am looking at Twitter and paying attention. But I get back to people as best I can. Unless you send me 4 or 5 in a row and they're really wordy, then I'm like, oh, what am I at the New York Times? Is what I say to myself. Well, let's do our ride or die picks for the Thursday night football game. We built the lineup, so feel free to poach that as you guys want out there. But Josh, we'll let you go first here. Who would you like as a ride or die pick? And obviously, for these island games, we do like to do a showdown captain.
Yeah.
I can't dupe you. Is that what you were going to say, Pete?
No, you can.
I'm duping you. Aaron Jones.
Okay. You dupe me hard, bro.
I'm feeling it.
That's a great pick. All right, Pete, what would you want?
Well, I took the chalk pick last show and took Kamara, and that was too much of a layup. So I'll get a little more creative. I'll do Chase Edmonds as the captain.
think that's a savvy one. I would say for me, I got to go with what the crystal ball tells me. There is a reason why we do the crystal ball segment, and that's because we have to pick guys like Amari Rodgers at captain, save all the money, and load up on all the Cardinals is what I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah, look, you said it was a 50-pointer, right, Pete? So I'm going to take that one right to the old ride or die picks bank.
The Sims do not like that pick.
No, I put him. The thing, Pete, is it's a very small sample size for Amari Rodgers.
Yes. All right. Is it time for Lowball?
It is time for Lowball, of course, where we do now. We've covered Thursday Night Football as best we can. If you have any more questions or whatever, feel free to drop in the chat because I think we're making pretty good time today, whether it be for us or for Josh. But it is time to do our Lowball lineup for Week 8, where we will compete against Josh here to do the worst lineup that we can for Week 8. And with how NFL's running, sometimes, Josh, I feel like this could be easier than building a good lineup.
I need to pass along yes. So we need to bring something up. Justin Freeman from Run the Sims, he left a comment in the Splash Play Discord. Did you see this comment, Spags?
No, I must have missed it.
All right. So he said, recommendation to solve the blatant cheating in these lowball drafts. Any player who scores exactly 0 points counts as an auto loss. Keeps everyone away from the sketchy, questionable guys, the dudes who are guaranteed bagels. Cough. Blasingame. And sticks to the spirit.
What about Willis?
And sticks to the spirit of the game, which has been left by the wayside by this gang of angle shooting ne'er-do-wells.
Wow. I didn't know Justin Freeman was bringing comments like that. I'm seeing it now on my screen. I don't go on the Discord for one morning and all of a sudden it's...
So the sentiment of this message, I very much agree with. I don't know. An auto loss seems rough. Let's go with this. Let's up the penalty to 2x their average points per game.
I think let's just make it 20 flat. So it's easy.
Okay. 20 flat.
Yeah.
All right. No matter who it is, like even if it's a Latavius Murray who averages 6 points a game, it's a 20
flat. They just get 20 and you're probably fucked.
But then you can game it if it's like a questionable Devontae. I guess you still don't want to take 20 points.
I think you're going to be like winning most cash games and most like 3-player games if you have guys scoring 20 across the board.
All right. New rule, 0 equals 20.
Okay. Done.
All right.
Very fair to me, I think. And thank you to Justin Freeman over at Run the Sims. Use promo code Pete to get that kind of reasonable Judge Judy style takes on when we were doing bits on the show.
All right. Have we been given our guest of honor the first pick here?
I feel like that's what we do. That we're just gentlemen like that. So yeah, Josh can go first.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with Pete's boy, Justin Fields, as my quarterback.
This is how you extract revenge.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to argue, I would say. Oh, I got to remember to build the lineup on the. Yeah. Okay,
no, I'll send screenshots and then we'll get the 3-man.
Well, I want to do it the way that you showed me that I can hand build the lineup without even entering it anywhere. I feel like that's truly the mark of a quality human being, from what I know.
Do you want the middle or the turns?
You can take the middle. I feel like I like getting the turn.
Okay. I have very much been enjoying eating up salary with defenses. I think I'm going to do Bucks on the road at New Orleans. 4,200 seems like a lot, especially with how much the Saints like to run the ball. I don't think we'll see as many potential turnovers there, so I'm going to burn some salary there.
All right, and I will go then. So I get the 2 picks. I think that's a solid move by Pete. Got to take somebody overvalued. You know what? I will go against the guy that I made my thesis. I took a stand against that bully Mike Clay. I'll say Alvin Kamara is going to be my running back to eat up some salary and be materially affected by Mark Ingram coming into town.
I can't believe, first of all, that tweet made you so upset, and 2, that you're just like, I mean, how far down do you think Alvin Kamara is getting knocked down because of Mark Ingram coming back?
I think he loses a couple goal line touches. I think maybe gets Tampa Bay. They're going to be prepared for how much New Orleans is going to try to do the short passing thing that they've given up a lot of production to. So I think a lot of things blowing against Alvin Kamara here if I had to choose. And I'm just trying to start a blood feud with Mike Clay because I didn't get a job at ESPN over the summer. So I think this. All
right, Spag, say that for after hours.
I get one more here.
Another beef with someone at ESPN or another pick?
That Matthew Berry, I know he's been great to us, but I will say for me, you know what? I'll go against a guy that Pete has gone against far too many times and got burned by it last week, but he's due for a come down game. Jamar Chase, come on down, you fantastic rookie bastard.
Yeah, I've gone to Jamar Chase back-to-back weeks, and I am glad that you are doing this for me here.
Saving you from yourself, really, more than anything.
Yeah, he is. I like that pick, but yeah, boy, can that backfire.
Yeah, it could really hurt. He could put up 40 like he did last week.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back here. I'm going to do Damian Harris. He's been a guy that's just really benefited from positive game scripts. And I think on the road at the Chargers here is not a Damian Harris game, and he's too expensive at 6,100. So I don't see a lot of catches for him. I see like a 13 for 54 line. So I'll play Damian Harris.
Okay, that's a reasonable one. And also, Will is saying, yikes, taking Chase against the Jets. The thing is, when you go against the Jets, the scoring comes easy, just like a nice dish of rigatoni over at the pasta house.
Stop. All right. It is back to the frickin' Julio guy.
So do we have to spend all of our salary? Or what can we have left over?
We have a $500 cushion, so we have to get up to 59.5.
So can I get Allen Robinson?
You can.
And Brandon Ayuk?
You say 59.5?
What?
We're doing a FanDuel lineup? I think you said 59.5?
59.9.
49.5.
49.5. God. Whatever.
I like that you corrected and then corrected the wrong number.
Just
The worst round of Price is Right ever. Josh gets another pick though. So
speaking of DraftKings, the Deposit Kingdom Rake Free League is up. I have it pinned in the chat. It's in the show notes down below. 470 entries this week. I asked for 469. They said their system can only do even numbers, so it's 470.
That's sad that they wouldn't give you that one. I feel like that would have been a nice win for the Overset brand. Really the man's brand more than anything.
Yeah, it would have been nice. He did tell me that it's okay if I tried to make it be one entry of overlay and only 469 entries. But there is no way that whoever registers drunk for this on Friday night. Someone's gonna fill it.
There's a way.
To force them. How, Josh?
I'll back out at 9:59:59.
Okay.
That is dedication to a bit which we really support more than anything on this show.
Yes, I do appreciate that dedication. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do Cortland Sutton. I think with Jerry Jeudy coming back, Cortland Sutton's been used pretty deep down the field. I think his targets are going to get eaten into a bit. With Jeudy, I think this will be a grosser, lower scoring game. So let's chew up some salary with Cortland Sutton.
All right. I will take a guy that, man, he's due for a bounce back game. I don't know. I shouldn't do that way. You know what? I'll take a guy that's actually coming off of a really good game. I think overpriced as a result going against a defense that has actually not been great against wide receiver ones, according to Football Outsiders DVOA. But I'm going to take Terry McLaurin here, which just eating up some more salary with a guy that I feel like is a bit overpriced because of recent results. And that's been my low ball strategy, Pete, which I feel like you might not agree with.
I don't agree with anything you do. And this pick is not different in that capacity.
Well, that's hurtful then. I will say I will also soak up a little more salary and take a defense here. And I'll take one that is honestly not terrible, but still probably overpriced. The Steelers at 4,300 will be my defense for low ball.
Yeah, that looked good to me. I was debating between Steelers and Bucks.
Yeah, I mean the Bucks I get a little more high priced. You know, the Rams certainly one that people may actually want to pay $5,000 for. I would not do that in many tournaments.
Yeah. All right. It is back to me. I think I want to go the shitty quarterback route. Let's go ahead.
Are you duping me?
I am going to dupe you. You know what? I'm going to do Roethlisberger.
Ooh. All right. So yeah, I was gonna say, are you leveraging off my pick? You're not leveraging off of it.
You want me to leverage off?
I want you to leverage so bad.
I won't give you that attention to your pick as if it even needed leveraging.
How dare you? I'm the low ball king right now.
I'm pretty sure we're co-kings. We're one
right
and
now
one.
After because the crown passes back and forth each week.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's like defending your title. Like if you show up and lose, like I'm the champ now.
Yeah. Well, you won because you skirted the rules.
I'm the captain now. Anyway, Joshua, what do you want? You got 2 picks here.
Mike Williams.
Okay, that pick looks good to me.
I was thinking about it. He's definitely overpriced too. He and McLaurin, I think, were both in that same price range of a little bit too high.
And Steelers defense.
Steelers defense. Wait,
I just took the
no.
Steelers.
Yeah, they're gone.
Oh.
They're gone. Dude, you
Well,
trying to
the
do
Rams
Spags?
defense there.
I mean, look,
Okay.
when you see a great lineup like that, hard not to.
There you go. All right. So the Rams, you have 5,700 per. I'm at 55. Spags doing well. Can go 4,300 per here. Let's see. You know what? I am going to try to play this Denver angle both ways with Judy back. I'm going to put Tim Patrick in here as well.
Okay. I like that. I will say for me then, who's gonna be bad? Who's gonna be a bad boy this week? That's what I'm. Willis asked if I will take Cooper Kupp too. I will not take Cooper Kupp this week. In certain scenarios, I would, but in fact, I will take Justin Herbert. I will say this game ends up becoming a slog. I'm going to eat up some more salary at captain. I will not take Davis Mills as I've done, I think, every single time we've done this. This team is really dangerous. Honestly, you might want to play this one in GPPs out there.
This team looks pretty good to me, honestly.
Oh, I get the turn too. Great.
You've used so much salaries, Spags. You only have to average 3,600 a player for like 5 spots.
I will go to a guy. Actually, no, because I can't get a 0 now. That's annoying.
Yeah.
I will go to a guy who's probably going to get just enough touches to not get 0. And I am sorry to our good friend Pat Carrain, but Ronald Jones, come on down at 4,100.
That's actually a good pick.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. 5,800. Some of us actually still have to spend some salary here. Let's do. I'm going to do Marvin Jones.
Okay. Eric asking if I know the rules. This is just, I feel like being bullied. I'm the champion. We need to have like a crown of thorns. I don't know. A crown of shit to say the Lowball.
Does anyone in the chat want to come out and stand for Spags?
Who will speak for me when I cannot speak for myself?
No, yeah. Negative points are completely in play. It's only if they don't play the game.
Wait, so I thought it was if they don't do anything that registers as a point. Because like Kyrie Blossom game would be okay then, but he got a 0.
Yeah, negative points to me is fine because that means they came and there
just has to be a transaction made.
There has to be. Should we say a touch? They have to touch the ball once.
Well, because like, what if they get a touch and it's one carry for 0 yards? Like, I think it has to be that they registered something either way. Yeah,
the one carry for 0 yards is a 0-pointer. If it's they don't come on the field and do anything, then that would be 20 points.
Yeah. No, I think it's like 1 carry for -1 yards, then you're good. If you get 1 carry for 0 yards, we should just make it a 20.
No, because you got a carry. You were on the field. The spirit of this rule is to not pick guys who aren't going to be in the game or play at all. That's the spirit.
We use Kyrie Blossom game as a jumping off point. So I feel like that was the one, like that would fit the criteria. Then he played, he ran routes, he just didn't do anything.
But that's not what we're ultimately trying to protect against. That was just Justin's. We're trying to predict against the Darren Waller, the Latavius Murray, the scratches. That's what we're protecting against.
Fine. All right. Anyway, whose pick is it?
It's Josh's.
Okay, so we're going to go another guy that our great host, Pete, was touting all preseason for best ball.
Wow. Is this you are just trying to get revenge on me by a Chicago Bears onslaught? This is going to be the week that this hits. This looks like a Millie Maker lineup.
I hate you.
It honestly is a really fundamentally sound like lineup build.
Yeah, you do need to start spending some salary though very quickly, Josh.
Oh, it's coming.
Okay. Well,
take Derek Evans. That worked out for me last week.
Mike Evans. Okay.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
All right. 6,500 for your
two you guys remaining. Wanted me to go Julio? Can't go Julio if this is a terrible team.
Yeah. Do you want? I mean, we have you on the show. You're the biggest Julio guy. Every other one of your comments in the chat is Julio, Julio, Julio. What do you have to say for yourself?
Who has the most 250 yards games receiving in the NFL?
What does that do for me this year, Josh?
It's Julio, Pete. You just hate Julio. For no reason, you hate Julio.
I used to love Julio, but Julio doesn't score fantasy points anymore, Josh.
It's because it's hammy. but I understand. Pete's going to play Julio just to shove in my face. And so might as well put Julio down next, Spags.
No, I'm not picking Julio because that's a lose-lose. Because if Julio goes off, then
your DMs are going to be full.
No, I'm giving you the
Twitter
soft
will
block.
be broken.
You're going back behind the DM gate, Josh. Okay. 5,700 here. I need another running back. Let's do Damian Williams. Khalil Herbert has pretty much cucked him. Mm-hmm. And I don't like this spot necessarily for them against the Niners, so I'll go Damian Williams.
All right. I was trying to figure out if I could afford Julio just for the spite, but I can't do it, unfortunately, because I wouldn't have enough money left to even roster two positions. So I will actually go to tight end, and I got to take somebody who is not good but will score something. Who's the backup in Buffalo at tight end? Do we know offhand?
Was it Hollister?
No,
he's in Jacksonville now.
Waring or Morris, I think. I think Waring's gonna get a stat, so I will take a tight end, Kahale Waring.
This is the guy you're betting on is going to get a stat. Are you seeing what his box score is? You're going to take a 20-pointer from Khalil Waring.
You know what? Okay, I won't take Waring. I think there's a chance that he has a crappy enough day, but you're probably right. That's too risky here for my great lowball lineup. I want somebody cheap though. That's the issue.
Spags knows about Sweeney. He's trying to get the backup to the backup.
Yes, that's exactly what I was hoping for out of that scenario. I will take, actually, you know what? I will stack up my Justin Herbert and I will go to Donald Parham Jr., who I like a lot, XFL veteran, but a guy that I think can easily do nothing or do very little.
Yeah. That one seems like a safe bet for like 3 or 4 points. He just screws you if he gets a touchdown.
Yes, he will screw me if he gets a touchdown. And I get one more here and I will go back to wide receiver and take, you know what? I'll stack up. I'll correlate my crappy Bills. And actually, no, because I didn't take that guy. Never mind. I'll take Gabriel Davis because he sucks.
Okay. Hope our friend Chess Liam doesn't hear you say that. Okay, Gabriel Davis. So you're going to have 4,600. So 4,100 at least for your final pick coming back around. I'm in a weird spot here with the tight end where I basically am going to either have to pay up for a solid wide receiver or a solid tight end. This is so terrifying to do, but I'm going to put Kyle Pitts in at 6,300.
Okay. I mean, at some point, Calvin Ridley's got to not be bad, you would think.
You would hope. Okay. Back to Josh here for your final 2 picks. You need to use at least 12,000 in salary here, or 12.5.
So I would use Derrick Henry.
Ooh. Against the Colts. Huh?
Dude, this is like a really good tournament team right here.
It is. It's pretty spicy.
I won't even say the Chicago Bears quarterback name anymore. It was horrible last week. Okay, I just watched my lineup.
Josh, are you still trying to blame me for the Justin Fields play last week?
I will always blame you for the Justin Fields play.
I like that he's blaming you for it too, because I'm pretty sure I picked him to be in the Millie Maker winning lineup. And did he not even come close?
All right, Josh, you have 4,100 for your running back slot.
Oh man, hold on one sec. I got to look at running backs now.
I would say you might have not played this game optimally because you aren't going to take advantage of the $500 salary cushion you could leave on the table.
Carlos Hyde.
Okay.
He's going to touch the ball at least one time. And be bad.
All right. Used all the salary. We respect that. Okay. So now it is down to me to use 5,200 or more. I did Khalif Raymond last week, and that kind of bit me. Mm-hmm. Let's Callaway looks like a nice option for me here. I love Devonta Smith. Yeah, we're going to use Callaway for 5,400.
I also thought it was kind of funny in the Fantasy Life newsletter that you had to write about Khalif Raymond's like resurgence. And I did think like you played him in Lowball last week.
That was to be fair, that was Sam who wrote that.
Oh,
but
okay.
yes.
That's why it was so good. That's
I had to edit it, and it was painful to edit such nice words about Khalif Raymond.
I'm going to do a move that our own Al Zeidenfeld did here, as Eddie points out that my team does look like an average Millie Maker winning lineup. I suppose it could, depending on your worldview, throw this guy into the mix, and maybe it won't. Mark Ingram in his Saints debut does nothing, is the hope here.
I mean,
Locked him up all
take that, Mike Clay, if you're watching.
This is unreal. Spags playing this Mark Ingram thing from both sides.
I think he does enough to hurt Kamara, but not enough to help himself. That's the methodology behind the play. But there we go. There are low ball lineups, which you guys, we have to figure out some way to track that. Maybe I should need to put screenshots out.
No. I'll send the screenshots. Josh, what's your DK username?
FRICKLE13.
All right, I might have you DM me it before I exile you for the DM.
DMs again. I feel dirty after that.
So we will update you guys on the low ball results on Monday, and we will see who the true savant of building a crappy lineup is. But Josh, of course, you are here as our viewer guest. We want to make sure to give you the floor to plug whatever you want. I know you're doing your job. You're plugging on Twitter to people already, trying to get poor Steffi Smalls to watch the show, which thankfully I don't think she bid on that one, so she didn't have to deal with this shit. Josh, plug whatever you want here.
All right. So first of all, I want to say, within reason. All right, hold on. Pete, Chris, thank you guys for everything. I appreciate everything you guys do for us, and you guys don't charge us for anything, so that's awesome. And I appreciate you guys always answering and being so nice to me. That's a great thing. Secondly, I want to thank Daniel Jones, Fast Eddie Fear, Sal Vetri, all awesome guys. All remind me of you guys in the industry and just fantastic people. So shout out to them.
Daniel Jones, the QB?
No, Tenacious D.
Oh,
David Jones, my bad. Sorry. David Jones.
Sal Vetri, Daniel Jones, of course, all the luminaries that we
got football on my mind. David Jones is awesome. Okay. So, and you guys are awesome. I appreciate the show's great. It's funny. It's something different. It's something that nobody else is doing. And Spags, I'm always going to support you. Pete, I will probably slide in your DMs every now and then. And I know you're going to be set my lineup tonight, Josh. And I'm not going to get anything when you win the NFT. Let's be honest.
Are you kidding? I would give you a fraction of my future toad.
I don't want to touch your toad, Pete.
In Mathology asking Josh, who do you like in NBA tonight? I know that's a question you sometimes ask me. I haven't done prep because I got to take my dog to the vet, so I don't know if I'll be playing tonight. So, Josh, who should the people be playing in NBA?
I actually just got off work before the show. Have been up since 2 a.m. California time. So, good times. I don't know yet, but if you guys want to ask me questions later, I'd be more than happy to help you guys out. But don't come at me if your lineup's just absolutely bomb, because you got to take some chances. So, yeah. NBA is much different than DFS. Football.
Hey, Josh, one thing I would like to say about the Justin Fields bombing last week is don't be mad. Sometimes you got to take some chances.
So life's all about, some could say.
Football.
I almost made you quit DFS.
I told Spags. It's in Spags Dia.
he was NFL's been real hard, man, to get what's NBA how's that going? It's running good for me. NFL though has been tough. So Pete, I feel like you might be the one to blame.
Thank you. I'll take the blame. All
right, so make sure to go follow Josh as well. Show him some love at JFrick87. Hopefully you don't mind us giving away the handle, but go show Josh. He's active on there. He cares about fantasy. So if you enjoy that stuff, go follow Josh and hang out with him. Pete, any final plugs for you here before we call it quits?
I will be back tonight to do a showdown cram around 7:45 Eastern. And then tomorrow I'm having Blender, aka Jordan Cooper, on my GPP strategy show at noon. And then we'll, of course, be back tomorrow at 2:30 with a reef for Ride or Die tomfoolery.
Yeah, so come join us there. We'll be back tomorrow with Arif Hassan of The Athletic doing the Ride or Die picks. We'll also be doing our usual Friday bits. So come hang out. Make sure you go to footballoutsiders.com/subscribe for under $5 a month. You can get all the data that we reference from that site. DVOA is the famous one, but a lot of other great tools to build better lineups over at footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. So go check them out. Follow Josh at JFrick87. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow at Peter Overzet. And, of course, follow at Splash Play Pod to re-follow you guys back. We'll be back with you guys again tomorrow. So enjoy your days. Good luck.